Welcome to one more session of JMeter. In my last session, we had discussed how we can group the thread test plan in between the two thread groups, in which we have created the two thread groups, in which we had added the requests, and then we were executing the thread group. Like here we were saying that two people are visiting the page two times, okay, within the 4-second time. And in training, for example, I have written only one person is visiting the page one time in 1 second. So when I was executing this particular scenario, so you will see that the development training group pages requests are executed 4 times, whereas training is executed one time. That we had done in my last session. I am also executing it today also. So you can see these pages which is in development is executing four times, whereas these pages Java and web designing which is inside the training is executing one time. All the pages were executing. Now today I will be discussing one controller that is called logical controller. What is the objective of this logic controller? The logic controller arranges the samplers, okay, the request samplers, and it specifies the order in which we can call the request. So there are many logical controllers which I will be discussing today. Okay. Now the problem with making two thread groups is that here I am writing two people two times page visiting. But in training group, again we have to specify how many people are visiting the training pages. And here we had created two different variables. One is for the development thread group and one is for the training thread group. So instead of creating two thread groups, what I can do, I can arrange these pages in by using the logic controller also. So now for logic controller, what you have to do, you have to go to the thread group first. Okay. And the first logic controller I am discussing is a simple logic controller. Right click on the thread group and you will find this logic controller. The first controller I am discussing is a simple controller. Simple controller groups together the request. Like we were making two thread groups, instead of that what we can do, we can group them by using the simple controller also. So let us make one simple controller and I will give the name as simple controller 1. Okay. And again inside the development thread group only, I'll make one more simple controller. So I've created two simple controller and again I will give the name as 2. So I have two simple controllers available over here. Now what I can do, instead of adding the request inside the thread group, I can select Control X and Control V. So I have added it in the simple controller 1. And similarly over here, I am selecting the files, Control X, and I am arranging them in a simple controller 2. Okay. So it means what I am saying, that inside the same group, we have created the two simple controller 1 and 2 and arrange the files. Now what I can do, inside the user defined variable, instead of creating two user defined variable, I can add the variable on the same thread group, say Java, and web design. And now instead of making the variable in a thread group, I can copy this value and add inside this one only, development thread group only. And similarly I will copy this web design, control C, and again I will add it inside the fine. So what I had done, I had I have created all the variables at a same place. So now I can remove this thread group, training thread group, because it is not required. I have arranged all the thing inside the single thread group only. So I'm again deleting it. You can just select and click on the delete button, or you can right click and remove. Anything you can do. Okay. So now I have 2 person visiting the pages 2 times. So what it will do, this will apply to this page in simple controller 1 also, and it will apply to simple controller 2 also. So it means both simple controller 1 and simple controller 2 pages will be executing. 4 times means 2 people visiting the page 2 times. Okay. So let us run it one more time. Okay. So you can see all the requests are executed 4 times. Okay. Now the next logic controller I am discussing is loop controller. Okay. When I am writing 2, so it means this page is called 2 times. Here we are writing 2. So it means all the pages are called 2 times like this. Okay. Loop count. But now, for example, I want to call this page 3 times. Okay. And this page I want to call, for example, 2 times. Then we can use a loop controller. For that, what I can do, I will again go to the thread group, right click, add logic controller, and here you will find one loop controller. This. So I'm now selecting the loop controller. Okay. And now here you can write the number of times you want to repeat that particular request. Okay. So I say 3 times I want to repeat this request. So this is the loop controller I have created. Okay. And now inside this loop controller, for example, I want say Java HTTP request to be called 3 times. So what I will do, I will select and drag it to the loop controller like this. You can also drag like this. So it means this particular request will execute 3 times. Okay. So basically what I'm trying to tell is that inside this we are having two. But for this loop controller I have specified 3. Okay. So let us run and check. So when I execute the test plan, I've added the aggregate report because here you have to count how many times it is. So it is little bit difficult to count the request. So we can easily check it from the aggregate report like this. Okay. So you see this request is called 4 times. This request is called 4 times. This request is called 4 times. Okay. But Java HTTP request is called 12 times. Why? Because every person, it means there are two people. Okay. So, this will be called, this is called, here I have written 2. Person is calling 2 times. So because I have written 3 over here, so I am getting the output of 12. So it means this page is called 12 times. 3 by the 6 by the first person and 6 by the another person. It means first person is making the request, so it is not taking 2, it is taking 3. Then again first person is making the second time request, again it is taking 3. So it means 6 by the one person and 6 by the other. So in that case you will see this is called 3 times. So it means all are calling. So if I make it simple, so if I say one person and one person, for example, to make it simple to understand, so I'm just saying 111. And now if I execute it one more time, so all are called one time, but this one is called 3 times. So this will make me you simpler to understand. Okay. Now if you look at the aggregate report, so you will see there is no uh, total average time here. You see average. If you added the add this average, so I have added this constant timer of 300 milliseconds. Okay. So if I want to count this also, so what I can do, I'm again creating one more logic controller, and now I am creating one transaction controller. This one. So I'm creating one transaction controller, and in this transaction controller, what I can do, I can add this simple controller one. So you can add one controller inside the another controller also. So I'll just select it, select it, select it, Control X. Just a second. Let me paste it one more time. I think Control B. I think I had selected transaction controller also. So I'm just selecting them Control X, and I will add them Control V in that way. So all the things are same. All the things are same. Okay. But now I have added this, the transaction controller. Now what is the meaning of transaction controller? Look at this report. When I was executing it without transaction controller, what was the output like? And now when I run it again, then you will come to know what is the meaning of transaction controller. So I'm clearing it. And again go to the test plan and run the test. So you see over here, when we have added the transaction controller has been added. Okay. Transaction controller time also is added, this one. So this time, if you add this plus this plus this plus this, will not come to this. So this is adding the constant timer also with this thing. Okay. And if I remove this constant timer, then in that case, you will get the aggregate of the time. So basically, transaction controller, it specifies the transaction time, which includes the constant timer time also. Okay. Now I'm covering one more logic controller, and I will now go to one more, that is a throat output controller. Okay. So I'll select this throat output controller. Okay. So I'll give the name as throat output controller 1, and again I will create one more throat output controller 2. So again I've added 2. Now again what I will do, I will uh, copy this particular request and put it in this throat output controller. I will copy this request and put it inside the throat output controller 2, and also the loop controller, and I will put inside the, and now I will delete this transaction controller. Okay. So now what is the meaning of throat output controller? So again I have arranged this particular thing, and again I am calling the same one people, calling the one page. So now what I am doing, instead of one I am making it 10. 10 people are visiting the page, and every page is called one time. If I execute it in this way, so you will see, again I am removing it. Okay. So if I run it in this way, okay. So now if you see, okay, so I'm not getting any output in the I'm not getting any output inside the aggregate reporter. Why? Because in throat output controller we have to specify that how many people will be, like here we are saying that total number of 10 requests are making. So up till now what was happening, it was called 10 times, it was called 10 times, it was called 10 times, it was called 10 times. But practically it may happen that out of 10 people who are visiting my website, 7 people are visiting this pages and 3 people are visiting this pages. It's not like that all of them are visiting all the pages. So that is the advantage of throat output controller. Now in throat output controller, you have based on, so it is saying it is based on total execution. So for example, I say based on total execution, so I say 7. Okay, so here I have specified in throat output controller 1 that out of 10, 7 people will be visiting over here. Okay, and in throat output 2, again I will select the total execution and I will specify say 3. So it means out of total 10, in throat output I have specified the output as 7, and here I have specified the throat output as 3. And now I will run it one more time and check. Okay, and now you see this pages business and QA is called 7 times, and business design and Java is called 3 times. But for example, here I increase the value to say 23 or 85. Then in that case, what we have to do, we have to specify here value 14, and here I have to change the value as 35. Instead of, we can also use the percentage. Percentage means instead of total execution, I can select the recent percent execution, sorry, and in percent I can specify say 60%. So it will take the percent 10, so it means 10 60%, or whatever 23 60%, 58 60%. And here for example again I'll select percent execution, and here I will say 40. So it means we have specified the percentage 60% and 40%. That also you can use. Again, I will run. So 10, 60% and 10, 40% it will execute. Okay. Then you will see. So here it is called 6644. Okay. So now another. So I think you have understood the simple controller. What is the meaning of simple controller? Then we have discussed the loop controller. What is the meaning of loop controller? Okay. Then we have discussed the this one throughout output controller. Okay. Now I'll create one more logic controller. You have to add the controller not inside the test plan but in the thread group. Add logic controller. Okay. Transaction controller I have explained you. Loop controller I have explained you. Okay. And okay, I will execute this once only controller also. Okay. So I am adding once only controller. Okay. As the name suggests, once only controller means it will execute one time. Okay. So whether you have specified 10 requests, but some page you want to call only one. Okay. So what you can do, you can add one only controller. So means it is inside the thread group in which 10 requests are coming. But this request you do not want to call 10 times. You want to call only one time. So for that, I'll add one sampler. So, so you have to add a sampler. So I'm adding one HTTP request sampler. So I'll name it as a login HTTP request sampler. And I have already taken this base URL. So I will use this base URL, Control C. Okay, base URL and path. I have one path, say index login login.html. Okay, so I'm just so basically what I'm trying to do, I want to call this one time. So let us execute it one more time. If you want to, so it means this is I have specified 60% this of 10. This I have specified 40% of 10, and this I have specified once only controller. Let us execute one more time and check whether it works or not. Okay, so login controller is called 10 times because we have specified 10. So it is executing for every request. It is executing 10 times. Let us change to simple controller, and then I will check. Or what I will do, uh, I will take. I will. So I am dragging and dropping out of the. Okay. I am removing throughout output controller. Okay. So now I will run it one more time. Okay. Let us see now. Basically, here it was calling 10 times because uh, it was called once only for 10 people. So it was counting 10. Okay. Here I specified 40% 10%, 60% of 10%, but here it is coming 10 because it is called once every time for every people. That's why it is counting 10. But it is little bit confusing for you. to understand why it is coming 10 when I have specified once only. So once only, it is once only called for every person. Okay, so but for the better understanding, now what I am doing, I am running it one more time, and then you will understand it. What is the meaning? Now, for example, here I specify, I'm making just simple. I'm specifying that two people are again visiting two times, like I was doing before. So here I'm saying two people visiting the page two times. But this page again will be called how much times? Because this person is visiting the page, but this page is called two times, this page will be called two times, this page will be called two times, this page will be called two times. But when the person is visiting, this person, first person is visiting login page, it will not called two times, it will called once only. Okay, so I will run it and then you will check. Okay, so all the pages are called four times because two people are visiting the page two times, two people are visiting the page, and two people are visiting login page also, but not two times, but only one time. That is a once only controller. So it is called two times. Okay, I think it is now understandable. Now I am adding one more controller. So if controller we will be discussing when we will be discussing the little bit about the what is the variable, how can we write a pre-request processor and post-request processor, because it requires certain coding. If controller, while controller will be discussing later on. Okay, I have discussed the transaction controller, I have discussed the loop controller with you. Okay, some controllers I'll be discussing later on. Okay, so like for each controller we'll be discussing later on. So once only I've discussed. So I will discuss this random controller next one. Okay. So random controller I'm discussing. So again I'm putting all the request pages inside the random controller. Okay. And I'm removing the once only controller. So now I have this pages. Now as the name suggests, random. So when I'm previously when I was writing two people visiting two pages, so every page was visited two times for first person, and again two times for the second person. So it means all the pages were executing four times. Okay, but when we talk about the random controller, and I say that for example one person is visiting one page. So when I was executing it previously, so you were seeing that this page was called one time, this page was called one time, this page was called one time, this page was called one time. But now when I will run one person visiting one page, so it will call any one of the pages. All the pages will not be executed. That is more practical. Okay. So like I am saying that one person is visiting one page. So previously what was happening? One, every page was visited. But when I say random controller, so out of these four, any one page will get executed. So let us see. You see only one page is executed. So it means out of these four, it will execute any one page. Random controller. If I again go to this and I say one person is visiting two pages like this, for example. So previously what was happening? It was called two times, it was called two times, it was called two times, it was called two times. But here it will call any two of the pages. So only two pages are called. randomly it will decide which it has to call, and so on you can do on your own. Like for example, again if I write 2 person visiting two pages, so it means any 2 pages visited by first person, any 2 pages visited by second person. Okay, so you can see uh, the Java page was called 2 times by one person maybe, and another request, it does not call the any page to, but it has called one time 2 pages. So it means randomly it will decide on its own which 4 pages it will execute of 4 requests. Okay, that is a random controller. Now I'm will cover one more again. For example, I will add logic controller, and I will add interleave controller, this one. Okay, so interleave controller, and in interleave again, interleave controller again, I will copy all these requests and add it to interleave controller and remove the random controller. Okay, so interleave controller is similar to the random controller. That is, again, if one person is calling one page, so any one of these pages will be executed. But in random controller, it was randomly selecting the page, any one of the page. It can be web designing page, it can be business page, it can be Java page. But here it selects in order. Selects in order means it starts from the top. So let us run and check. Okay, so you see it starts from the top only. Again, for example, I say one person is visiting 2 pages. So 2 pages, it will start from top, first page and the second page, in that way. So it means only 2 pages will be selected, but not random. It it starts from top, first page, second page. Okay, first page and then second page. In that way, it will execute. Another one I will be adding is recording controller. We'll be discussing in another class. Okay, so I'll make random order controller. This one, random order controller. So there's a difference between random controller and random order controller. Both are different. Okay. So now again in random order controller, all the pages will be called. Previously, what I was saying, one person is visiting one page, and out of this, only one page will be called randomly. Instead of that, here, all the pages will be called one time. All the pages will be called one time, but in random order. Random order means anyone can come before, anyone can come after. But all the pages will be executed. That is a random order controller. All the pages are called one time, but order is changed. That is called random order control. Okay. One more thing. is uh, if I right click and add one test fragment. Okay, so there when you right click on a test group, add, there is a option called test fragment, and I'll select this test fragment. Okay, and in this test fragment, for example, again I'm adding one sampler HTTP request, and I will give the name as again login, and I will use dollar and base URL and some page index login.html. Okay, so again, so what will happen when we add the test fragment inside the thread group? This will not be executed. This test fragment will not be executed until and unless I call it. Okay, so I am running it one more time. So you will see when I run it, this pages will be executing, but this login HTTP request will not be executing. Okay. Login. So what we have to do? We have to call this login page explicitly. Then only it will be called. So for that we can use two things: either include, or we can use another thing called module. So first I'm covering the include. Select the inside the test fragment HTTP request. So you have to select it, right click it, and there is an option save test fragment here. Save test fragment, and save it in a desktop or anywhere. It will be saved by the extension of JMX, and save it. So we have saved this particular test fragment. Now what I will do, so that it is called, so inside the random controller or simple controller, throat output controller or loop controller, from where you want to call it, है ना? You have to just right click. So you have to right click and logic controller, and you have to add the include controller. So include controller will always be inside the another controller, because we have to call it include controller. So include controller will always be inside some another controller. It can be inside a simple controller, it can be inside random controller or random order controller or loop controller, anywhere matlegi. And here inside the file name, I will give the name of the file. I've just added this, saved it, login http request.jmx, like this. Okay, fine. So now when I will run this random controller, so random controller will include this request, then only it will be executed. So again I'm running it. And now you can see login is called. Okay, so that is text fragment, that is you have to call it explicitly, then only it. Now as we have added the include controller, we can also add the module controller. So as I already told you, test fragment will not be executed on its own, we have to call it. So you can add the controller inside the controller, we have already discussed. So in the random order controller, like we have added the include controller, we can add the module controller. So I will, because I have to call this login from the random controller, it will not be called on its own. So what I will do, I will select it, right click, add logic controller, and from here you can select the module controller. Okay, and in module controller, what we have to do, we have to target this file test fragment. Okay, so you have to give that, find the element, which element you want to call from this module. Okay, and you can because it is a random controller, so it will call all the things. Random order controller, I told you, will call all the elements within the random order controller, but its order will change. Okay, so now I will run it. So like include controller was including the request. Similarly, module controller is including the test fragment. Aggregate report, uh, and now I'm running it again. Okay, so you see login is now called. Now login request is now executed because we have called it through the module controller. So in that way you can, and if you want to call it again and again, so you can place, if you want to change the random order, so you can change it to some another controller also, simple controller or in any other controller. And if you want to run this twice, for example, then you can again right click, add logic controller, module controller. Again, if you can make some another test fragment also, or you can use the same test fragment. You can name it as a module 2, for example. Okay, so in a so similarly you can include one or two things also. So we have added this two times, for example. Okay, and again clear and run the test plan. And from here you can see login is called uh, business design development क्या हुआ है login Java. Just a second, why it is not called two times? I'll try it one more time. One user is calling one time random order controller, all the things will be executed one time in a random order. Okay, it is called but two times. Here it is was, let me check one more time. So I'm running it one more time. Aggregate report login. Acha, okay, it is called two times. I missed it. It was running two times only. All the things are running one time, and this was running two times. Okay, because we have added it two times. So you can also check over here.